Hi folks, welcome to Greg's Workshop. I'm Greg and today we're going to be putting in a fence right along here. So when we built the shed, we had to take out a fence. The remnants of the fence are still here, those fence posts. You can see where the shed goes right there. So we're going to rebuild this fence and put in a couple fence posts over there and a gate. Put in the cross pieces through here, replace that, and then we will be able to keep the dog out of the garden.
The first step is using a string line to establish the endpoint of the fence. I'm running the string along these existing fence posts where they're just barely touching, and then make a mark on the shed. This will be the fence post for the shed end. Next, I move the layout string down low so that I can measure for the new fence posts. There will be a gate right through here so that we can easily get from the shed to the greenhouse and back.
So over here I attached what will basically function as a fence post against the shed. You can see those backing blocks, I have them spaced out so there's not less room for water to get trapped back there. Also the tops are angled so the water should shed, and I've treated all the cut ends. I have holes marked for my two fence posts. There will be a gate in between them. The rest of the fence posts, despite being 15 years old, are actually in really good shape. So we'll just reuse those.
In my area of heavy clay soil, if you want to put fence posts in the ground, you need to do it in either the spring or the fall. This ground turns to concrete in the summer. We're putting in some temporary boards between the shed and the last fence post so that we can secure the new fence posts in place while the concrete cures. Doing lots of measuring and checking to make sure this is exactly right.
On the left we have a fence post, or what's going to act as a fence post. Over there we've got two 2x4 spreaders across from the shed to the next fence post. And these are the two that we're going to set in concrete here. Got my holes dug. I had intended for them to be 40 inches apart. They're actually about 43, which is fine. It's not a big deal. Wider is better than too narrow. So we're going to throw in some fast setting concrete. We're not even going to put water in it because the ground's super wet and it doesn't need it. Go get the concrete.
I changed my mind and decided to put a little bit of water in the top.
While we're waiting for the concrete to dry, we'll turn our attention to the other end of the fence. I'm going to take this gate off. I'm actually going to reuse the frame. We're going to be using different boards, but the frame is in reasonable shape. It needs a little bit of reinforcement, but it'll work. This is a kit you get from Home Depot with the reinforcements and the hinges all in one piece. So we'll take this off, set it aside, get some cross pieces up over here, and then work our way over there. Got the first two, I don't know what you call them, stretchers, crossboards, whatever, in place. Made my measurements here. You can saw in that time lapse I put a board across the gate opening with a level on it. So I marked that level over here. I'm going to take a string, stretch it over there at the same level once the concrete cures, and then mark the top of all these stretchers, and then I know the math to do to get the top of the bottom stretcher as well. I have the tops of all of the posts marked to be cut 4 inches from that top stretcher. That'll be the top of the fence as well. I'm going to have 35-inch tall fence boards, so I'll leave an inch gap at the bottom for string trimmer to go under and cut it clean underneath. So, question is, will the 6.5-inch saw be able to cut all the way through, one pass on each side, or we'll have to finish up with the Irwin Japanese style pull saw? Let's find out.
And as always, treatment on the cut ends.
So that saw cut plenty through both halves of these posts. You can see the depth of cut there on each one. So that's pretty good. That one obviously I had a handsaw because it was right next to the house. So next step is building the gates. I'll need a gate here, which will be new, and we'll be reusing the gate for over there just with different fence boards. See what I can get done before it gets too dark. It's getting a little late. I think this is where we're going to end. Got the gate made. Need to get a latch for it still. Not a big deal. I can do that tomorrow. Going to be capping these fence posts with either black metal caps or you can see it on the far fence there. We have solar light caps. I put those on. I haven't really decided yet. Have another gate kit that's basically the same as what that first gate is for this side. I'll just need to measure and cut and assemble it. Probably do that on the shop and then get it hung tomorrow. One little detail I want to highlight, I kind of put these in backwards so you can see the hinge barrel is extending into the wood. I actually routed out a channel in there. I've made it wider than it needs to be, and I coated it all with wood preservative so that water obviously will get in there, but it'll have plenty of room to drain out. It won't be stuck in there between the hinge and the wood with capillary action. Got a little bit more done today. Got this gate put together from the kit, secured with 3.5-inch treated deck screws. Put this little piece of 3/4 plywood across the top to give us enough room, the proper plane for that latch to work. So the latch works pretty good, works as it should. I'll take you around to the other side of the shed. Put this one up, again 2x4 of the shed, 2x4 on the other fence, just a little over 5 feet there for that span. So that just, this whole fence really is just to keep the dog out of the garden. I was going to be putting up fence boards today, but I thought I had the right fastenings. Turns out I didn't, so I ordered them. They'll be here at some point tomorrow. Hopefully I can get them up tomorrow. But in the meantime, it's time to go take 6-foot boards and turn them into 3-foot boards. Fence build day 3. It's been raining pretty much all day, 6 o'clock in the evening, but the sun's out, stopped raining, time to get these fence boards on. My fasteners arrived in the mail today, and these are stainless steel, 1.25 long by 1/4 inch wide staples. Got my staple gun. I always like to use stainless for stuff like this, that way it doesn't rust. You see some fences where they use, like, God forbid, drywall screws, and it just, the streaks from the fastenings just go down, and it just looks like hell. So I used these on the fence out front 2 years ago. Can't even tell they're there. Work pretty good, so we'll use it on the back fence too.
I'm starting out by making a mark every 11 inches where I want the edge of the fence boards to be.
All right, so for hanging the boards themselves, take your board, figure out which side you want out. We'll call it that side. I've got a spacer block here, 4 inches from the bottom up to this cross piece. This cross piece is square to here, square to there. Put this on the back, take your clamp, throw it on like so. Set this down so that it's on top of the cross piece back there. Nail in the top, put a level up against the side, make sure it's plumb, nail in the bottom, unclamp it, move on to the next board.
Can't forget the section in the back corner.
Let's take a look at the finished fence. Over here, this part goes uphill towards the house. I cut the bottoms of the boards at an angle, and I may cut those tops at an angle, or I may just leave them like that. They look pretty good stair step that way. One mistake I made, I think about the fact that I was swinging these gates uphill, so I actually had to dig out a little bit to get them to clear. So I'll have to do a little bit of terracing or terraforming there to get that to work, but looks pretty good. 5.5 inch wide boards, 5.5 inch space between. This is the dog fence. We want the cat to be able to get through, but not the dog. And a little bit over here, same thing, kind of at an angle. I stair stepped it. It looks fairly even. Maybe that second one is a little low, I'm not really sure. Anyway, looks good enough. Our water tanks are going to go back here at some point this summer. So this section of fence can just be taken off with screws on either side. And this was the first job for the new Milwaukee M18 cordless air compressor. Got a 6 amp hour battery in there, only lost one light, still at 3/4. Did a good job. Folks, if you enjoyed that video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to get notified of new videos every Saturday morning. Leave a comment or question down below, and I'll see you next week on Greg's Workshop.